Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you all to this very important meeting today, Tuesday, December 6, 2016, in the City of Portsmouth City Council chambers. I would like to ask Commissioner Williams to please give invocations and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us stand for a short moment of prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, Heavenly Father, we come today in order to do God's work in the city of Portsmouth. We ask that you provide us guidance and leadership and assist us in assisting the citizens of our great city in moving forward in Jesus' name. In God's name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, we will now have roll call. Please indicate your presence electronically. 6 members of Planning Commission are present.
Commissioners, before you are the minutes of
September 6th.
the September 6, 2016 public hearing. If there aren't any changes, we're in need of a motion.
We need a motion.
Commissioner Williams.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the minutes as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Chair has need a second. Commissioner Youngblood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I second that motion.
It has been motioned and properly second. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a motion and a second. You will be voting electronically. The minutes are approved by a vote of 6-0. At this time, we'd like to ask Councilman Paige Cherry to come up to the podium and our chairman, Chairman Davy Smith III. We have a presentation.
Service to the Planning Commission, December 6, 2016. But David, not just we have the Planning Commission, we have our mayor, the City Council, 2,000 plus employees, and 97,000 citizens of Portsmouth. We want to thank you for giving up 8 years of your life, taking time from your usual vacation every month to come out to these meetings. But David also attended meetings in the community that affect planning in the city at large. And that's no small task. So the only thing I want to say is we're going to miss you, but there's other work to be done in the city of Portsmouth, and I know for a fact there's a place for you in here to do some more work. So I look forward to you to continue to work in the city. Don't know where yet, but we're going to find somewhere for you for the last thing I do. Congratulations to you.
Wait a minute. It's a stretch.
Yeah, I heard that. Can you find it? I heard that. Yeah. Then you want to say yours? I thought it was the chairman. I take that privilege with you out of chairman.
I just want to say it's been a great pleasure to serve our city, and I want to say thank you again, Councilman Cherry. Also, and you've done the same thing I have as serving as the chairman of the Planning Commission, and a great job as a councilman, a vice mayor, and as our liaison. And I want to say thank you to the staff for being there every step of the way. And commissioners, it was a great honor to work with you all. And as I look at the city of Portsmouth, and I just say to myself, always forward. And you see that wave, and you see that ship, so we're going to continue to go forward. And I know my work is not undone. There's more work to do. Mr. Williams, the chair is being turned over to you, sir. And the vice chair, Ms. Amy Thompson, I know you guys are going to do a great job, and other commissioners as well. Mr. Youngblood, thank you for all that wisdom. You too, Mr. Vaughn. All of y'all. Casio, Mr. G, I appreciate you. Regina, the best recording secretary anybody could have. keep me straight. But again, I just say thank you, y'all. It's humbling. I mean, they did an article in the pilot and everything else, and, you know, the best is yet to come. You know, to be one of the bright spots in the city of Portsmouth with all this turmoil going on, man, you know, just got to show people Portsmouth ain't all that bad. Every city has some rough spots. It's just like a family. But we continue to smile. We're going to kill them with the smile as we continue to grow. As we learn, we grow, and we change as our city, as we're going to continue to do. God bless you. And again, I say thank you. And the best is yet to come. And I just look forward to the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, brother.
Announcements of future meetings and conferences. Please note that our next work session is Tuesday, January the 17th, 2017 at 12:30 p.m., 6th floor conference room, followed by public hearing at 1:30 p.m., City Council chamber. Items reviewed today will be presented to City Council for action at their January 10th or January the 24th, 2017 public hearing or as otherwise noted. Everyone, please silence your cell phones at this time if you have not already done so. Planning Commission rules limit a speaker of up to 5 minutes to speak. Our first public hearing item, and only public hearing item, is S-16-01, Port Norfolk. Request of W. Matthew Miller, representing the Virginia Port Authority, to close portions of 2 streets to mitigate traffic near the entrance of the Portsmouth Marine Terminal. The 2 streets are Lee Avenue between its northern terminus and Cleveland Street, and Wesley Street between the CSX Railroad and Lee Avenue. Staff Coordinator Susan Wilson.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Susan.
The location of the street closure request is near the Port Norfolk neighborhood and the MLK off-ramp to Port Norfolk. The area around the closure request is zoned IL Industrial. The closure request location is adjacent to properties owned by the Virginia Port Authority except for one, which they are currently in the process of purchasing. The one that they are in the process of purchasing is shown on the map in purple. It sits at the corner of Lee Avenue with Wesley Street. This map shows the closure request relative to the rest of the Portsmouth Marine Terminal. Some operations within PMT are accessed via Lee Avenue and Wesley Street. I've shown on the map some of the movements that are made within this area, and it's really hard to see on this map. But basically, there's 3 primary movements that we can see on Lee Avenue that are occurring. One at the intersection with Lee and Wesley, where chassis are dropped off by trucks. The entrance to the drawing a blank here. The entrance to the import-export side of the international side of the terminal occurs off of Lee Avenue. When heading northbound, you turn right in there, and trucks are coming in and out of that location. And then on the left side of Lee Avenue is a place where trucks pull over and park. So there are a lot of trucks that are using Lee Avenue. Wesley Street, where they are proposing the closure, is there is a rail crossing that crosses Wesley there that also enters into the PMT area. VDOT collects traffic counts annually along Portsmouth streets, but not all the streets have counts that are collected on them. Lee Avenue does not have counts, but Wesley Street does. The table here shows traffic counts for the 5 most recent years available and also shows the percentage of truck traffic. It appears that since 2011, the counts for Wesley Street between Chautauqua and Lee Avenues have decreased. And I'm not sure how to explain the 11% truck traffic That was reported in 2013, when all the other years tend to show an average of 3% trucks. But it appears since 2011 that the volume of vehicles that are using Wesley Street between Lee and Chautauqua have gone down. In 2011, there were 900 counts within a 24-hour period. In 2015, it was 350. The city has been working with the Virginia Port Authority to acquire ownership of the former Commonwealth Railway in the Churchland area in exchange for an item that's of benefit to the port. And so that's how we ended up here today, is Lee and Wesley closure requests was presented to the city as an idea of exchange for the Commonwealth Rail right-of-way in Churchland. We have funding to construct a rail-to-trail project on the former Commonwealth Rail right-of-way, and it would be used by bicyclists and pedestrians. And it's a 1.82-mile trail out in Churchland, and it's part of a larger project that I'll show you on the next screen. But so far, we've completed about 3.35 miles of our portion of this regional project. And this map just shows you how our portion of the project fits into a larger regional rail-to-trail project called Southampton Roads Trail, that's both an on-road and off-road facility connecting from Suffolk to Chesapeake, then to Portsmouth, crossing the Elizabeth River via the ferry onto Norfolk and into Virginia Beach. City staff is requesting that the Planning Commission defer approval of this item until your February 7th, 2017 Planning Commission meeting. We've had some concerns from the neighborhood regarding traffic from a concrete ready-mix facility that's located in the Port Norfolk neighborhood. The neighborhood is concerned that with the requested closure that there would be more impact to the neighborhood streets if we approved the closure request. So we are wanting to collect more information during this time, and so we've requested deferral of this item. Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions or discussions? Susan? There be none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on item S-16-01. I do have several speakers. As I call your name, would you come forward, state your name, your address for the record, and you will be given up to 5 minutes to speak. Our first speaker is Sarah McCoy.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the Commission. Thank you for having me. My name is Sarah McCoy, and I'm representing the Port of Virginia today. I would support your staff in their recommendation to defer this issue until the February 7th meeting. To provide some background context, this originated when we got reports at Portsmouth Marine Terminal of the intersection of Cleveland and Harper, where it joins just south of Lee Avenue, of a lot of congestion. And so when we were looking at ways to mitigate this, we looked and saw that we are owners of everything on the right side of Lee and almost everything on the left side of Lee, with the exception of that last property at the corner of Wesley and Lee, in which we are closing on that property in the next 60 days. So upon purchasing that property, we will be owners of both. And we thought maybe we could use this closure as an opportunity to reconfigure that area so that we're bringing the queuing of trucks, the line, which they're waiting to enter and exit the property, more onto the property, and so better utilize this area in order to mitigate that truck congestion in the intersection. However, in pursuing this application, concerns from our trucking stakeholders as well as the Civic League were brought to our attention. We've had a long-standing relationship with the Civic League. If you look at the map and see how it's zoned, we must coexist together, industry with residential, and we want to continue that here in Portsmouth. So that's why we would be requesting just a bit more time so that we can collaborate with the Civic League, with our trucking stakeholders, to see if there isn't a solution that would benefit us all and truly mitigate this congestion, which was the impetus of our request to begin with. So with that, I'll defer to the chairman for any questions.
Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Youngblood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ma'am, what is the benefit to the Port of Virginia for doing this? What benefit do you gain by closing that street?
So we would operationally be able to reconfigure that area, and so that we could, what's not shown is there's a large truck gate that is deeper in the recess of this area. And there's just a single line to that truck gate. And some of our trucking stakeholders can attest from time to time there is congestion there. And so we would be hoping to reconfigure the queuing mechanism that we currently have in place and use some of this new property to mitigate congestion and create a more simplified queuing mechanism to mitigate congestion both at the intersection and our gates.
Would your queuing come from the Port Norfolk side, or would it come from the London side, the London Boulevard?
It would be coming from the London Boulevard
Okay.
side.
Okay.
The same directional configuration that's currently in place.
Okay, I understand. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Youngblood. Commissioners, any other questions, Ms. McCoy? There being none, thank you, Ms. McCoy.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our next speaker, Walter Bell.
Good morning, members of the Planning Commission. Or good afternoon. Appreciate the opportunity to speak here. I appreciate the port's openness to review this request in light of our concerns of the neighborhood. I'm a resident of Port Norfolk, and I also understand their desire to mitigate the existing congestion in the area. But as a resident of the adjacent neighborhood, I would simply wish to ask the Planning Commission to consider that the street closure would appear to require routing truck traffic from businesses along 2413 and 2405 Wesley Street, such as Gilco Trucking, through the neighborhood streets. And more so, the Vulcan Materials cement trucks would be required to extend their route for 2 additional blocks through our residential neighborhood. Thank you for considering these possible negative impacts to our residents of Port Norfolk.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. For the record, can you say your name again for the record?
Oh, yes, sir. My name is Walter Bell.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Bell? Commissioner Youngblood.
Mr. Bell, as you've probably heard, the staff is recommending that we defer this to our January meeting. And in our work session, that was pretty clear that the other commissioners agree along with me that that's what we want to do. So I think you need to come back in January.
Yes, sir.
And hear what the February.
February.
Hear what the recommendation is at that point, and see if we've been able to reach some compromise. I'm not trying to discourage you.
Yes, sir.
Now, but I think that that's really the point where the rubber is going to meet the road.
Understand.
Yeah. Thank you,
I
sir.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
Our next speaker, Erica Nessler.
Hello.
Hello.
So I hear very, very clearly to come back in February. I did send some correspondence to your office regarding our concerns about the neighborhood. I can reread them, or I can wait and reread them in February. I would like to put in just little more layman terms of our concerns about, because what I sent is a little more technical than every day. The neighborhood has worked very hard with the port and the city to keep our area safe and free of trucks, especially after the Pinners Point extension. We got all the trucks out of our neighborhood except for Titan, who's one of our neighbors, or Valcon now, I guess is what it's called. So the cement trucks currently go one block down Chautauqua and cut up onto Wesley and onto Lee, which eliminates the heavy trucks coming through our neighborhood, which makes it much more safer for the children who live on Chautauqua, for our residents who live on Chautauqua, because we have on-street parking. So when you have on-street parking, you create another safety issue with people darting through cars and things like that. Plus, the intersection at Chautauqua is not a four-way stop, so it's already dangerous with the backing up of traffic from the port, caused by the port. So we just really want you to consider that relationship and what we've done so far to keep our neighborhood safe. And it's not just the concrete company. There is also Gilco Trucking that does the same thing, so that they're not cutting through the neighborhood. They come up Wesley and down Lee. So just want to put that out there. You'll see me again in February. I'm representing the Port Norfolk Civic League. My name is Erica Nestler.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nestler, and I appreciate what you're doing for your Civic League. That's great. Most people are scared to stand up, and I like your spirit.
Well, thank you.
No problem
There's
at
quite
all.
a few of us here.
I know that's right. Commissioner Youngblood,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms.
Ma'am,
Nestler, Ms. Nestler, come back.
I can assure you that your letter is the primary reason why we want to study this thing in greater depth and make sure that we've addressed as many concerns as we possibly can. I believe that I can speak for all of the commissioners in our appreciation for how truck traffic had a detrimental effect in Port Norfolk prior to the Pinners Point extension. I personally had to commute through there going to work, and it was horrible. I have a lot of sympathy for you, and so we really want to consider this thing very, very carefully. But your letter is the precipitating event in our delay now. But thank you.
Thank you. Now if we could just have like an up and over for the trucks to go right over that railroad track and right into the port, it would be beautiful. Something that simple, a little up and over. Thank you.
Thank you again, Ms. Nestler. Thank you so much. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on item S-16-01. If there's anyone else here who did not get an opportunity to register and would like to address this application, you may come forward, state your name and your address for the record, and you will be given up to 5 minutes to speak. Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, we will hold this meeting over until our February Planning Commission meeting.
Commissioners, will there be any questions, any discussions? There's not. Chair is in need of a motion. Madam, no? Where are we now?
To the calendar.
Oh, the calendar. We still got to,
We need to,
we got to vote to defer the item.
okay.
Chair is in need of a motion to defer this item till February, what's the date?
Do we need to do that?
February 7th. We are in line with that, Jeff. We are doing the right thing, right? We still have to vote to defer. Yes, sir. To continue the public hearing, okay.
Okay, you got your two.
Commissioner G.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to defer this item S-16-01 to the February 17th meeting. Or February 7th meeting, sorry.
Thank you, sir. 2017. Commissioner Thompson.
I second that motion.
It has been motioned and properly second. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a motion and a second, and you will be voting electronically. This item is deferred to the February the 7th Planning Commission meeting by a vote of 6-0. Our next item is the approval of our 2017 Planning Commission meeting schedule. We have three changes on our calendar. The first is our regularly scheduled January meeting is going to be held on January the 17th, 2017. The next one is the July the 4th meeting, and that will actually be held on July the 18th. And then finally, we're changing in the event the regular meeting is postponed due to any reason. The public hearing will be held at the same time and the location on the third Tuesday of the month. And with those changes, we need a motion to approve our 2017 meeting calendar for the Planning Commission.
Chair is in need of a motion. Commissioner Thompson.
I would like to make a motion to approve the 2017 meeting schedule for the Planning Commission, City of Portsmouth.
Has been motioned, and Chair is in need of a second. Commissioner Commissioner Williams, I'm sorry.
I second that motion.
It has been motioned and properly second. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a motion and a second, and you will be voting electronically. The Planning Commission 2017 meeting calendar is approved by a vote of 6-0. Our next item on the agenda is the election of our officers. In our work session, we nominated for chairman, Mr. Albert Williams for chairman, and for vice chairman, Commissioner Amy Thompson. We will do them one at a time. The first one is the chairman. We are in need of a motion for our chairman for our 2017-2018 is Commissioner Albert Williams.
Commissioner Youngblood.
I make a motion that we elect Mr. Williams to be our chairman for the next year.
Chair has received the motion. Thank you, Commissioner Youngblood. Commissioner Vaughn.
I'd like to second that motion.
It has been motioned and properly second. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a motion and a second, and you will be voting electronically. The new commission chairman for our 2017-2018 is Commissioner Albert Williams. Our next item is for our vice chair. I need a motion to approve for Amy Thompson as the vice chair.
Chair is in need of a motion. Commissioner Williams.
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Amy Thompson to be the vice chairman of the Portsmouth Planning Commission.
Chair has received the motion. Need of a second. Commissioner Vaughn.
I'd like to second that motion.
It has been motioned and properly second. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a motion and a second, and you will be voting electronically. This item is approved 6-0. Our slate of officers for the 2017-2018, Chairman Albert Williams and Vice Chair Amy Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I believe that concludes our agenda for today. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Mr. Hartley, do you have anything, sir?
Just to say on behalf of the director and the rest of the staff, I hope you have a safe and enjoyable holiday season, and we will see you next year.
Thank you, Mr. Hartley. Commissioners, would there be any further business? Commissioner Williams.
Mr. Chairman, let me just take this opportunity to thank you for the service that you have given to the Planning Commission and to the City of Portsmouth. Let me echo what Councilman Cherry has said, but in addition, your compassion for what you have done and your compassion for the speakers who have come, irregardless to which side of the issue they were on, is truly commendable. Again, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. He's trying to make me cry at the end of the meeting. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you so much. I'm humbled and I'm honored to serve. Hearing there is none. Any other commissioners, anything else before we adjourn this meeting? I want to wish all you out there, those people that are watching, happy holidays, and enjoy your family, enjoy this time, and Happy New Year in advance. Thank you. This meeting is now adjourned.